At the height of the Roman Empire in the year AD 122, the Emperor Hadrian decided to stop expansion of the empire and build Hadrian's Wall. The wall spanned a distance of 80 Roman miles, that's 73 miles today or 120 kilometers. Many people like to characterize this wall as being about defense, keeping out the barbarians in the north. But actually, much like in North Africa, there's lots of evidence that this particular border was very permeable. The wall was more about defining the edge of Roman land and the beginning of the lands beyond. Made up of a series of gates and mile castles, Hadrian's Wall remains one of Britain's most iconic archaeological sites. It also, because of this iconic status, has a great impact upon the modern landscape and indeed the modern psyche of Britain. Arguably, one of the reasons why people in England and Scotland have such trouble with one another is because there's always been, as far as they're concerned, a physical border between them. However, where the wall's impact is felt most keenly is where it directly intersects with modern-day life, in large cities like Newcastle, or towns such as Wallsend. Wallsend, as its name implies, is at the end of the wall, and in Roman times it was marked by a fortress called Segedunum. For 300 years, Segedunum was a symbol of Roman might on the wall, the end of the wall, but also as well, doubtless, heavily involved in the comings and goings of trade along the River Tyne. Eventually it was lost to time and re-excavated at the end of the 20th century. As a Roman fort, the site is fairly standard. However, most excitingly are the reconstructions of officers' quarters and the bathhouse, using accurate techniques to build them, and also a section of the wall itself has been reconstructed. Here we can see where the line of the actual wall has been covered up to continue excavation at a later date. For this archaeologist, the most poignant part of the site is where Hadrian's Wall turns south towards the River Tyne. It passes underneath an old office block, which really sums up this site's history as a seat of power which has given way to an industrial landscape and eventually decay. The intrepid hiker can now follow the Hadrian cycleway along the route parallel to Hadrian's Wall. Those who wish to stop on their way across the country can have a look at Segedunum via its museum and also its state-of-the-art viewing platform, which does give a remarkable view of the site. However, those who wish to stay a little longer will not find it difficult to see that the Roman heritage of Wallsend is everywhere and permeates the entire town. It is not difficult to see that the Romans left their mark on this place. This in many ways is the most remarkable legacy of Hadrian's Wall, the way in which it affects people's psyche, even to this day. The people of Wallsend in the northeast have had more than 1,000 years of history since the Roman period. However, it's so deeply embedded in their psyche. Even the metro centre sports posters which have been doctored to look as though the Romans never left. This here is Hadrian's Wall, drawn as though it was in fact the map of the metro system itself. It's a remarkable feat, and very, very interesting. Now, clearly, I'm not Wallsend born and bred, but in the short time that I have lived here, it is very clear that people love the Romans and the identity that Hadrian's Wall affords them. The question is, though, at what expense? Are people focusing so much on Hadrian's Wall that they're letting the industrial heritage around them erode? This powerhouse of shipbuilding is now, bit by bit, decaying. And will people in the future thank us for focusing on the Romans? People here are rightly proud of the legacies which history has handed down through the ages, and they focus on them with great fervour. But perhaps this is not the problem. Perhaps the problem is that they are known throughout the world as being at the end of the wall.